it does raise so many issues. I am still interested in the reseller versus branch office dynamic. I don't know if any of you have any experiences or observations in either of doing one or the other.
A lot of our clients, they start off again trying to seed in a one-person relationship in a different country, and that's sort of like an interim relationship that leads into setting up a company branch office. And then away they go. One observation, we see a lot of people make fundamental mistakes before they come and talk to people like us. And not that they have to come and talk to us, but before they talk to any advisors. And they put themselves on the course that's quite expensive. And people don't like lawyers anyway, but then they need the lawyers to help them get out of the situation. The point is this, a lot of people's model to other countries is an indirect channel model, meaning you're going to appoint distributors, agents, that sort of stuff. But the one common theme amongst the people who end up not where they originally intended is that they abandon their own strategy for that market. They say, you're the distributor, you work out everything I need to know about that market, and they stop thinking about the market, which is just unbelievable.
I tell you what, I think that almost any business owner here could probably equate that with hiring a sales director or hiring an unsuccessful sales director, where the entrepreneur starts their business, they grow their business, they're the key seller. Then what they do is they hire their BDM, their business development manager, and that person, and then they say, oh good, I've got you now, you can worry about all that sort of stuff. And then 6 months down the track, they suddenly realise that revenue has dropped 40%, and they're in trouble. Sounds like a fairly simple extension of that. Is that familiar to anyone? Bloody familiar to me, I tell you that. While you've got the mic, Jarmal, we were just talking a second ago about some of the legal complexities of doing business, say in China. I mean, if I wanted to set up a business in Wales, or I wanted to set up a business in North America versus China, what are some of the differences?
Okay. We tend to deal with our clients that deal in China either in one of two respects. One is they're manufacturing there, or two, they're involved in an acquisition, a merger and acquisition. So rarely do our clients actually set a company up in China. They usually buy in, or they're part of an investment. Whereas in the U.S., our client base tend to set up organic operations and go from there. But the point is, in the U.S., there's a lot of fragmentation in the regulation, whereas in most other countries, most of the regulation you deal with is country-wide. So you have to be aware of that a bit. I think that it's okay to sell and grow a business without setting a company up until a certain point. And then, so a company, if you think of a company as a set of steps, you can look at it as, sub 250,000 turnover, 250,000 to 2 million, 2 million to 20 million, 20 million to 60 million, and then on. At those different steps, those companies should be looking at and doing different things with their structure, and they're probably being impacted by different regulations as well. So it's a step process. It's not, you have to go in there and do everything all at one day. Now, having said that, a lot of people sign agreements when they go in and they say, okay, we'll give you the exclusive rights for all of America, for all of eternity, and we don't have any sales performance requirements from you. And then they come and see us and say, okay, what do you think of this? And I go, well, I think you need to pick a different industry because that's going to be a long haul. So it's nothing wrong with taking your time, taking the short steps, and then maybe once you're seeing positive growth in your numbers, so you invoice from Australia, you see the positive growth, then you think about setting up that local operation after you've gotten your feet wet a bit.
Your Delaware company?
Delaware, oh well, in the U.S., specific technical question, there's no other reason other than the tax structure to pick anything other than Delaware. If you pick a Delaware company, you can operate anywhere in the U.S. If you pick a California company and you want to go to Colorado, you have to set up a Colorado company as well. So all other states are state-specific except Delaware. Delaware is the only state that's grandfathered in across the U.S.
I'm just amazed that we actually managed to export in the US, because I've got friends who try and export wine. The moment they got in there, they discovered that there's like 52 different wine laws for every different state that they need to do.
Absolutely.
IP, intellectual property, not internet protocol. Intellectual property. Obviously, it's a big issue. I've been at other events where people have said, "Oh yes, I'm interested in going to this particular jurisdiction or this particular country, but I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my IP or I'm going to be ripped off or whatever it is." And perhaps Gerry, he's doesn't look like he wants this one. But I was wondering whether you had any observations about how to appropriately manage things like your intellectual property when trading beyond borders. And I know it's different for everybody.
Yeah, specific in China. China is fantastic, but they don't have any compulsion to copy. Don't worry about, they just copy. There's nothing wrong with it. They think it's a form of flattery that, hey, look, yours is fantastic, but gee, mine's pretty close to that. We've had instances where my partner's ex-partner, we're at a trade show and we did this new kiosk for airlines kiosk, and he was pitching it all around, and I helped pitch it all around China from major airlines, and then so we did a prototype. We had agreements about who would do the prototype, had proper agreements in place about intellectual property and who owned what. All that was fun, no problem. So weren't you? But then we went to the trade show in Beijing, and we had a stand there, and the very next stand over there was we'd only had concepts that we developed up as far as visuals and doing big presentations to all these airlines. Right next door to us, he had the kiosk. He built it, and it had it with a stand with Fujitsu, and was demonstrating it. So of course, my partners there, they go, well, hey, look what they've done. Oh, well, of course, it's a little bit more taken back than that. Marched across there.
So these are your Chinese partners. We're going, oh wow, that's
pretty close. That's pretty close. They've done a good job.
Yeah, you're ready to go strangle them.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I was kind of then taken aback that even though we're part in our company, we set up and talked with the government. We design registered everything, and the whole idea of that as well was to make sure that if anything copied it, we would then take them to the courts, and the government was going to get behind that, so that at least this would be showing that China really cares on intellectual property. But unfortunately, again with Guangxi, that found out then the relationship that not only partners but other people had with this guy who copied it was hard to undo, because all of the other relationships might have fallen apart. So I was rather than your normal going in there, what the have you done here, blah blah blah. They're trying to sort it out behind the scenes, and eventually did. We extracted it out of there and got some recompense from that, but it wasn't as quick and as what I thought. Everyone would be shocked with it, but they weren't as much. And that's China. And so the thing is, I said to the guy eventually, that well, our designs are pretty good, and usually people are copying last year's model anyway. Because they can't do it. They can only wait till the new one comes out, then they're going to copy that. So we always got new products.
So what would you advise? Would you advise go and get everything trademarked and patented and all the other stuff, or would you say just keep it as a trade secret and don't let anyone know how you actually do it behind the big curtain?
I think you've really got to relax a bit about it. Don't get overly stressed, but you really got to, I think, be very quick to market. I think that's what China is, quick to market. You can protect it. We protect all those with IP and design registration, but it doesn't stop it, totally. So you can do that, to the nth degree. But so you've got to be very clever about your how you get your product out, how quick you get your product out, who you engage with, and then that can. One particular one, we had another product that was going out to World Expo, and we found out someone was going to copy that. We went to working with China Mobile, went to China Mobile and said, okay, these guys are blatantly copying it. You want our product? If you do that, if you're going to continue with them, we'll pull out of the tender.